Hello there, people of the internet. I'm out here with a couple of 8890 rifles. These right here are Steyr straight pulls before the M95, so they still have their little flapper locking systems. And these are still chambered in the original Steyr 8x50 cartridge. This came out before the 8x56, or the 8x56. And most of your rifles, I'm going to have to fix that right there, most of your rifles that are of the Steyr configuration are going to be in that 8x56 configuration. However, this right here is actually one that I got a little while ago. I've already put up and made videos on it, so if you'd like to go see more information about this, then go ahead and go check that out. I got this on a basically entirely based off of impulse. I saw this and I was like, you know what, I don't have one of those. I'm going to go ahead and get myself one of those. And whenever I had gotten these, they were classified as B grade. And because they were classified as B grade, or maybe they were even C grade, I can't quite remember, but I knew that there was going to be some problems with these, whether or not they were missing pieces, whether or not in this particular case we have a broken stock, and we have some really crude, like World War I style field repairs on this thing. But I did not spend a whole lot of money for this, and my goal was to get one of these. Actually, I got multiple of these. And I was wanting to essentially rebuild them to have myself some shooting firearms. I'm a reloader, and 8x50 is something that I can convert 7.62x54 rimmed brass into. So the lack of ammunition available for these things is really not that much of a hindrance for me. But all in all, I think I spent like $99 per rifle of these right here, but I figured that whenever I got them, they weren't going to be working. And sure enough, whenever both of these came in, neither of them were working, this one nor that one. So I did have to do a little bit of finagling with them to get them up and functional, but guess what? Now they're functional. Originally, what was wrong with this one right here was that for some reason, the sear was not catching on the actual sear mechanism on the trigger, and so as a result, whenever you close the bolt, the firing pin just ended up falling forward. And it wasn't a matter of there not being enough sear engagement of the surface between the sear and the actual catch. It was a matter of the actual firing pin inside of the system was just stuck, and it was not allowing itself to pull itself back far enough. So I got in there, I cleaned it up. It was full of all sorts of funk, which you would expect from an old rifle like this. And now I have myself, a rifle that actually catches back and pull the trigger. And this right here would officially fire. Everything inside of here looks good. We do not have an extractor. I'm going to have to get myself one of those. Those can be found for typically around $30 or so for this particular platform. And so for $100 for the rifle, a little bit of finagling with the system to clean it out and get it functional, and $30 for the ejector, I have myself a full-on functioning firearm for $130. The 8x50 cartridge is certainly, no slouch of a cartridge. It is a full-powered rifle round. I'm going to go ahead and reinforce our field fix right here for our buttstock, just to ensure that this right here does not come apart. I'm going to go ahead and, well, I want to leave the aesthetics of this field repair, but I want to go ahead and just throw on a couple of extra somethings to reinforce this, just to ensure that the buttstock does not come off. I will not be firing full power 8x50 ammunition out of this thing. The flapper lock system just does not really lend itself well to those kinds of pressures. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and do some undercharged ammo, and I have no doubts that my particular undercharged ammo, which is going to be significantly undercharged, is going to be fine for this field repair. So yeah, I'm actually very, very pleased with this one right here. $130, and I got myself a full-on functioning rifle. All I had to do was clean it up a little bit. You know what? While I'm thinking about it, I actually have some 8x56 Steyr ammunition. This right here is the updated form of the ammunition, and it's going to have the same bullet diameter. Let's pull this out of here, and we can see on our barrel that this right here actually still has some life left in that barrel, and so as a result, this is going to be an accurate shooter. No bulges in the barrel, no issues like that. I mean, I should be a-okay to bring this rifle out, especially with the ammunition loadings that I will be running, and this should run just fine, especially after I reinforce that stock a little bit. This one I'm very pleased with. yeah, I'm happy with this one. Now, what about the other one? The other one is kind of the focus of this video. Whenever it comes to buying surplus stuff, you never really know what it is that you're going to be getting. It's definitely a luck of the draw. And with this one right here, I kind of had that luck of the draw moment. So this rifle, whenever I had gotten it, it was not closing all the way. The bolt simply would not go all the way home. And I was thinking that there was something inside the bolt that was stopping it from going home. And sure enough, I opened it up, and there was like a little piece of metal or something that was actually inside the bolt itself. And that led the bolt to not being able to actually go all the way home. And so as a result, I could not close the bolt fully. Well, I took out the metal, and sure enough, I cleaned the bolt too. This one right here is much smoother than that one right there. But sure enough, now the bolt goes all the way home, and this right here does fire. It does function. It looks like the firing pin in this one is Ethiopian made. Definitely not factory. It's absolutely handmade, but it does protrude out of the front of the bolt face, so I think that it will function properly. Still no extractor on this one. I spent $100 on this one as well, along with that one, but I will have to spend another $30 on an extractor. Besides that, we also have a broken stock on this one. But the front end of the broken stock is not really all that much of a concern to me. This right here is not a load-bearing area. As a matter of fact, there are plenty of rifles out there that do not even have this area of stock. Think of like your hunting rifles or your sporterized rifles or things like that. This right here is a non-load-bearing surface, so especially with the underpowered 8x50 ammunition that I plan on firing out of this thing, or we'll get to that here in a second, this right here is not going to be much of a problem. So whenever I was checking this thing out, cleaning it, I was like, yeah, this right here is a nice, smooth action. I really, really like the way that this one here turned out. And she's complete other than that extractor. But then I start cleaning the barrel. And I think to myself, okay, let's go ahead and clean the barrel, check the rifling out. Rifling in this thing is phenomenal. Like, really, really phenomenal for what it is. And I was thinking to myself, great, this is going to be an accurate shooter. So I grabbed my 8x50 cartridge, or my 8x56 in this case, to go ahead and bore test the thing, and I shove it in there, and sure enough, the bore appears to be completely shot out because our cartridge just drops right in there. We have no bullet engagement whatsoever. She just kind of wiggles around. Now that right there would mean that this right here is probably going to keyhole. And so as a result, in order to get any life out of the barrel, I would have to counterbore it. I do this regularly with a lot of my rifles, especially whenever I buy like secondhand cheap rifles. If they keyhole, then I'll just counterbore them. I own a lathe and milling machine, and so as a result, I can literally just go take care of that. It's very simple. Most of these barrels on all your old Milsurp rifles basically just unscrew, let it run for a couple of seconds, and typically, more often than not, you're going to find that you have engaged actually appropriate rifling. And like even if you just go back 2 or 3 inches, you'll find that you engage appropriate rifling and your rifle stops keyholing. Well, I was thinking to myself, I'll go ahead and just do that with this one, since you know it appears to need a counterboring. But then I stopped and I started thinking, why does this need to be counterbored? Because the inside of this barrel is immaculate. The rifling in it is phenomenal, and I can clearly see rifling all the way up to the end of this barrel. As a matter of fact, I'll throw up a photo of that. So then I start like scratching my head, and I'm like, the rifling comes out to the end of the barrel and it looks fantastic, but the 8x56 cartridge that should be the right size for this bore is not seating properly. So then I thought to myself, well, let's go ahead and see what we got going on here. So I grabbed this rifle, 8x50, and then I grabbed this rifle and I stuck the bores side by side, and sure enough, the bore on this rifle, which the bullet just sinks into, is like visibly larger than the bore on the known 8x50 rifle. So we have an immaculate barrel with immaculate rifling that clearly comes out to the end of the barrel, and the 8mm cartridge that would normally fit this rifle does not fit this rifle. I don't think that this rifle is chambered in 8x50. I have no idea what it would be chambered in. I'm going to go ahead and have to like do some testing with it. I'll go ahead and I'll if necessary, I'll do a cast on the chamber and see if I can figure that out. But I don't have any tools with me right now. This isn't exactly my normal recording spot. But I would grab myself a set of calipers and I would check the actual size of the bore here, and that right there would give me a good indication on the size of the projectile that it's supposed to fire. And I would check the actual chambering itself, and that right there would give me a good size on what size cartridge, like what type of cartridge this thing is supposed to fire. Because from what I can tell, I think that this rifle's been rechambered for one thing or another. I just have absolutely no idea what that thing would be. So I know that one right there is 8x50, or it more than likely is. It doesn't appear to have been updated to 8x56 because I don't see any update marks on it or anything. But everything points to that rifle being an 8x50. This one right here, I am clueless about. I have no idea. So what I might do is I might take the stock, like I might swap stocks on these, because if I don't know the cartridge that this is chambered in, I'm not going to shoot this one. And that one right there has a busted stock at the back of the rifle, which is very much an essential part of the stock of the rifle, whereas this one is not. So I might turn that one right there into my actual shooter, clean the bolt up a little bit more, see if I can get it a little bit smoother, and this one right here would become a wall hanger or for decoration purposes or something like that, unless I can figure out the chambering, in which case I might be able to load some ammunition for it. Unusual things like this are kind of what you should come to expect whenever you're buying surplus rifles, especially whenever it comes to the procurement of rifles from unknown and sketchy sources. These rifles here came from Africa, and there are some significantly sketchy rifles coming from Africa. Some of them are actually in phenomenal condition and work extremely well, and others, they simply do not hold up at all. So you got to bear that in mind. And occasionally, apparently, you're going to get some that have been rechambered for one thing or another. There's a very good chance this rifle was shot out, and then at some point in time in the past 140, 50 years of this rifle's existence, somebody decided to themselves, hey, this rifle shot out, let's rechamber it for something else. And so they did that, and then it just kind of got mixed in with the batch of other rifles. Who knows what the story behind this rifle is? I could sit here and speculate all day long. But the rifle itself is in pretty gosh darn good condition, all things considered. I like how smooth it is. I like how smooth the bolt is and whatnot. Other than some busted up wood, it's really not that bad of a rifle. The busted up wood and the unknown caliber. Well, folks, thank you ever so much for watching. Appreciate your time. Like, subscribe, share. Description below has a link to all sorts of stuff. Go check it out. You guys go off, have yourself a fantastic day. I will see you guys on the next episode. Since I've done this. Bonnie and Clyde be damned. The poor man's Garrett. Shame that bolt action shotguns aren't more mainstream.